and welcome to the True Friends podcast, a behind the scenes podcast of True Friends, a play by Aaron Lee. I'm Aaron, and this is my co-producer and true friend Avril Duck.
And as we go through the process of producing True Friends, we want to give you an insight into the hard work, effort and passion, the real heart and soul behind this new theatre work.
This podcast is going out to our friends, families and supporters, theatre people, people with a disability and just about anyone who wants to hear the best parts of us.
That's Aaron's insatiable curiosity.
And Avril's radical everyone-ism. Hi everybody, this is episode 2, All Things Tech with Avril and Eben.
Aaron, you got to introduce our lovely Eben Love.
This is Eben Love, a theatre technician.
And what about your first question? What's that right there? Pretty.
Tell us a bit about yourself.
Well, so my name is Eben Love. I'm a Ngarrindjeri man from the Coorong. Grew up in theatre.
Which is South Australia.
South Australia, yep. Just along the Murray River. I moved up here 2001, always been involved in theatre. My dad was a playwright. Mum's been involved in the arts in every form. Festivals, projects, can't stop listing, but I won't start listing. But yeah, so then kind of did a bit of theatre through school. Then joined kind of Tropical Arts was my kind of first introduction to theatre, and that was in 2010.
Yeah.
Is kind of when I got involved.
We've got a little, date range back here.
Yeah.
We're just looking at project dates per year.
Yeah. So.
But I mean, how old were you then?
So 2010, I was in grade 10. So.
Oh, that's nice and easy
for
you, isn't it?
Yeah,
okay, that's 12
but yeah, so just at the second half of high school, and I was kind of working more on the little sound desks, the live sound and just general help around, and then just stayed involved. Started working as a tech at a venue in town, Coca, where the jelly babies were.
You love those jelly babies, didn't you, Aaron?
Yes.
Yes.
Everyone does.
Yeah, I miss them.
Did.
They're over at, I see them all the time at, what are they? Munro Mountain Park.
Oh, I didn't know that. I did not know that. Did you know they'd moved over to Munro Mountain Park?
No.
But yeah, so then as a tech, I kind of always, I suppose, mirrored my professional with tropical arts. So every year I would do tropical arts, kind of pushing my skills forward. 2014 was my first kind of big lighting design work with tropical arts, which was 2015, sorry, with Macbeth.
Yeah.
And then ever since then, I've kind of been doing lighting design and just general tech advice.
Yeah, so that I guess, and I'd like to come back to a bit more about how you're connected, particularly with Aaron, because at the moment, Tropical Arts, so just so that people get a bit of background, Tropical Arts is a community theatre show, community theatre association, which I've been artistic director of and a director of since 2008. I've directed all those Shakespeare shows, and that's sort of where I met Aaron and where I've met you and lots of other wonderful people. And so Aaron and I are doing this True Friends project, which is Aaron's play, True Friends. That's
Yes.
written. So what Could you tell the audience what is your role in True Friends?
So my role in True Friends is the lighting designer, but I'm also going to be helping with my experience with theatre that I've seen throughout my years in the venue. So any advice I have about set, especially around hopefully touring, what I can bring to the table. But yeah, and then just also hanging out with Aaron and just getting involved in any way possible, really.
Yeah, I mean, you're technically you've done a lot with it together. All right.
How did you get involved with True Friends?
Aaron invited me, and I didn't hesitate and said yes straight away. I love working with Aaron, so it was quite a easy decision. So yeah, that's kind of how I got involved. But yeah, it's definitely through Tropical Arts as well.
Well, you two fellas have worked quite a lot together, haven't you?
Yeah, so we connected again through Tropical Arts. Aaron's operated a couple shows with me. What do you remember the first operation gig you did? It was for 12th Night?
12th Night.
You were...
I was acting.
You were acting, so we kind of had a bit of... that's where we first met, I think.
Much Ado About Dragons was... Yeah.
You were acting then?
No, I was doing sound. And then I did acting for 12th Night. And then for Shakespeare's Sonnets and Verse, I got to operate the lighting console.
So that's where we really kind of got our solid connection, because we operated shows together, which was really fun.
And that was 2020 as well, so that was like the year the plague hit us. That was the year of COVID. This was the first year of COVID, so it was a year which a lot of things happened very quickly. But yeah, you picked up. Had you done QLab before that year?
I've only learned how to use QLab from watching YouTube videos.
Oh.
It'll be good if I had my own Macintosh, that way I could learn to use QLab and that.
And so then when we did Hamlet this year, you did not do the lights. Last year, you didn't do the lights at that time.
I did the sound.
Yeah, cool. And so I was kind of more of a stage manager, I suppose, for the giving Aaron the cues to go and whatnot. But yeah, we definitely worked through that and had a lot of fun. Aaron and I in the bio box.
Yes.
I can't go through all the stories, but we definitely had a lot of fun up there.
Yeah. I have been up there. I'll tell you one little. Can I tell a story, Aaron? Since we've got a little bit of just to get a flavour of the bio box, because I only kind of recently joined you guys in the bio box when we went on tour.
Yes.
So we did Hamlet and the Climate Emergency in 21, which was a Tropical Arts production. I directed it, and you guys were in the bio box. You did the lighting design, and Aaron, you were really helpful with me planning and getting us onto the QLab tech stuff.
Yes.
And then anyway, you guys are operating away, and for one particular show, I remember coming on behind the bio box, and I was watching the show, and you guys were intensely focused.
Yes.
Intensely, cue for cue, making sure that everything was perfect. And I was just there as a director and as the most useless person in the show, actually, at the end of the show, as the director, because you got no more job to do. So I was just enjoying myself at a certain point.
Stuffed up.
Yes. I nearly did. I nearly made you stuff up because what did I do? I laughed out
but
loud.
I want the cues to be perfect.
That's right. So I was like, ha, ha, ha. And that the guys kind of pulled out of it, and Aaron got... You told me off, didn't you?
But I want the cue to be perfect.
Exactly. You are a perfectionist in that regards.
And the show went on, and we did very well.
That's right. And then we went to Atherton and to Port Douglas, and they were interesting shows. We actually have talked about the different venues.
Oh yeah, cool.
On our last on our pilot podcast.
Yes.
I think. All right. Can we move back to True Friends? And maybe if you were to ask this question.
What thoughts do you have about the production?
Well, my main thought is how excited I am to kind of see the content that you have made. I can only imagine how great it's going to be. I did hear a little bit at the showcase at the Arc, and I was thoroughly impressed. So, my thought is, I think it's going to be, I suppose, a lot deeper than people will think. And I've had a quick flick through the script, and I've seen some pretty cool looking scenes, and I'm quite excited to light them. Because I can see the pictures that you were kind of thinking of when you were writing it, and so a bit of a long thought, but yeah, I'm definitely excited to kind of dig deeper into the script and.
Well, it's so we go just so that you get a time of when we're producing this podcast or when we're recording this podcast.
Yes.
The date we figured out was the 9th of April that we're on today, and so next week, come Monday,
we're going to be creative development.
Yes. So creative development is that zone of the production where we put all our creative thoughts. We read the script, go through it, and then put all of our thoughts into it.
Yes.
And so we're just sort of thinking about what it's going to be like in the future.
Yeah.
It's a really good visioning time of when we're going to be actually getting this delicious vision together.
Yes.
And Friday,
we have the creative development presentation.
That's it. So on Friday, that's the 6 till 7 time slot, we're going to be presenting all our ideas.
Yes.
So that'll be recorded as well. So we might even be able to slip some of that into a future podcast as well.
That'll be good fun.
That was an awesome sound effect, Aaron. Can you do that on cue?
Yeah, we're going to have to put that into the show.
Stop it. Sounds like a door opening. You get the whole range of laughs now. What tickled you so much then? You can ask that question, and then we'll move on from the sound effects.
What are your future plans in theatre or the technical world?
Well, definitely want to kind of get a bit more involved in lighting. I think that's kind of my main goal, but also probably more Indigenous content as well. I'd love to get more involved in Indigenous content, however that may be.
Yes, that's through your family and
background.
Through your
family. So I got a lot of artists in my family, with my auntie, my dad being a playwright. Uncle Archie, I'm actually closely related to. So I definitely have...
So for audiences who don't know, Archie Roach is one of our most famous Australian Indigenous musicians, singer-songwriters, and all-round wise elder.
Yeah. So, definitely kind of want to be involved in that a lot more, however that may be. But yeah, that's kind of my place at the moment. And then, definitely kind of the venue supervisor or venue management is kind of still a big part of
So
my...
when you think about lighting, why do you think you've ended up in this particular zone? How did you end up there?
Well, definitely during school, I did do a bit of theatre, but I didn't really enjoy it, and I kind of moved more to animation. But the problem was that I was not very good at pen and paper. So I was not a very good drawer. So animation was a little bit difficult for me. Coming out of school, I had a bit of a gap year, half a gap year. Lent back on my my technical, because one thing I didn't mention before is that I was doing a lot of technical work for WOMAD as backline for the main stage at WOMAD with my dad and mum going to WOMAD every year. So I did go back into the technical side in 2013 with the company. But then I moved over to Coca as a volunteer for a little while, working with Charles Wiles at the time, and kind of he was talking to me about it, and I actually wanted to do audio, he nudged me into lighting, and I've been very thankful for that. So yeah, I've kind of taken my animation kind of knowledge and transferred it to lighting, because it's quite similar on like the movement, I suppose, on stage. It all kind of relates, I suppose, because lighting is a little bit like animation but on live.
Yeah,
in
but
the
3D.
theatre. Yeah, 3D. And
3D.
4D, 5D. Is it
Whatever,
and I still do a lot of the kind of. I still want to do a bit of animation, I suppose, at some point in my life. But yeah, that's how I kind of got into lighting, I suppose.
Do you see yourself lighting big things?
I would like to light big things, but I think my heart is in the grassroots, I guess, is kind of like where I really enjoy spending my time. Like it would be awesome to go light a big theatre show in Brisbane, but definitely more grassroots.
Excellent. That's where we start with True Friends, isn't it?
Yes.
Right at the grassroots.
Yeah.
Did you have any more questions that you'd like to ask Eben about things, or Eben, is there something that you haven't talked about with us today?
I think we've hit all our notes. But yeah, I'm definitely keen come Monday for the creative development.
Yes, I'm looking forward to going to the BulmbaJa Arts Centre.
Yeah.
That should be good fun.
Yeah, so that's the next instalment, I guess, is what happens after this, as the three of us next week are pretty intensely working on True Friends.
Yeah, plus I want to have a full version of the show and, of course, take True Friends on tour, and I want to be a part of the tour. I want to go all around Queensland and all around Australia.
So, Jeremiah's nodding over there in the background. You can't see what's happening over here, but Jeremiah's been all around Australia on tour.
So that's what I want to do, is go on tour with the True Friends show.
And so that's what we'll be talking about next week.
Cool.
A lot of that touring stuff. Okay. Really like to thank you so much, Eben, for coming and chatting with Aaron and I on
it was
our
a pleasure.
podcast, on
Yes.
our True Friends podcast.
Yeah.
Yes.
And have a lovely day.
Will do. I always love hanging out with Aaron and Avril. You've been part of my life for a while.
Yeah. Can't get away from us.
Yeah, that's it. But thank you so much for inviting me, and can't wait to be on another one.
Okay.
Here we go. Thanks, see ya. Bye. Well, that's about all we have time for.
Thank you everyone for listening to our podcast.
If you've enjoyed this podcast, please consider subscribing to our Patreon to be part of getting this production
onto a stage near you.